Today's episode of DRL is brought to you by Hella Cocktail Company. My guests don't just come to DRL for me. They also come for the cocktails. Luckily, my friends at Hella Cocktail Company have my back. These guys make amazing mixes, from Bloody Mary to Margarita to Moscow Mule. They also make cocktail bitters, my secret ingredient, and now yours too. It's easy to feel like the best bartender in town when every bottle comes with a simple recipe on it. Hella Cocktail Company, bold flavor, real ingredients, hospitality. Mixing it up since 2011. Shop the collection on Amazon Prime or use code DRL online at hellacocktail.co for free shipping. Hello, my lovely listeners. Welcome back to another episode of DRL, where we're talking everything dating, relationships, and love. I'm your host, Tanisha Wood. So today I'm here with Kola and Kofi. They met after Kofi did a lot of work on himself. So hi, Kola and Kofi. How you guys doing?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. So when you guys first met, you realized that you were soulmates. So how did you even get to that point of meeting? Like, give me the backstory here.
Well, it started off as like this little joking Facebook post of Brian needing a girlfriend. So I jokingly said I'll be his girlfriend. And here we are.
Right. So we have a mutual friend. She shared one of my posts and she was like, my friend need a girlfriend, because I was making a post about the show Power. Ironically, she made another post. So it was two separate posts. So the first post that our mutual friend posted was about all of her friends that supported her through trying times. And Kola happened to be on that post as an mention. So was I. So I looked at Kola's name and was like, who is this? So maybe like a day after that, I made a post and Helena, which is our mutual friend, shared that post. So she seen that post and I seen her from another post. And I had text our friend like, you holding back. Who is this person? So from there on, we've connected. We was on a phone call. And from there on, we've just realized we definitely were soulmates.
So prior to that, Kofi, you had done a lot of work on yourself. So tell me about that and how you got to that point.
I went to a Caribbean festival. And in that Caribbean festival, I was talking to a female, and that female basically asked, so what are you? Who are you? As it relates to my nationality, who am I as a person, those type of things. That question literally woke me up. From that point on, my consciousness grew. Who I was as a person, I wanted to dig a little deeper, more beneath the surface.
What was it about that question that woke you up? And why in that moment from that person?
Because I couldn't answer it. The fact that I couldn't answer it was a problem. So you have Nigerians, Ghanaians, you have Jamaicans, all of these different people who know who they are, know their nationality, know their background and all of those things. And then they ask who you are. And you're like, I don't know. You know, like when you dig deep, I really don't know as an African-American, like who I truly am. I started to learn more about who I am and the importance of the Black woman as well. Mm-hmm. So through that whole entire time, I just completely almost like shedding, like a snake shed, like a reptile shed its skin. It was almost like shedding all of these layers of unlearning and relearning who I am and what I appreciate. A woman, you know, that loves herself. Me understanding what a woman truly is to not just myself, but to society, to the world. Through that growth, my expectations grew as well.
So what did step one of that process look like for you? So you talked to this woman at this party, you realized that you didn't really know who you were and you couldn't answer that question. And maybe you weren't prepared to meet the woman that you wanted to be, or meet and be the person that you wanted to be. But what did step one of that process look like? Like, how did you begin shedding that first layer of skin?
Step one of that process is myself. Who am I? Where am I at in life as a man? And what does a man mean to me? Mm-hmm. First and foremost. A lot of us didn't have that growing up. We may not have that father figure. Our mentor probably was telling us to do those certain things and disrespect the woman and everything else.
And then once you realize that maybe I have things twisted, maybe I'm doing wrong, like how did you on a daily basis work to change those things?
So I looked at the person that I wanted to be, and then I started to take those steps towards that. So pursuing my purpose. So I started to dive deeper into things that's meaningful to me. And then with that came those new layers and those new consciousness. And then I started to look at, I have people who look up to me now. You know, my whole personality has to reflect that. The way I live, my life has to reflect that. Self-reflection, revealing traumas, revealing your past, going deep. And with me, this is another step. I promoted my change as well. I let the world know that I'm changed. I'm no longer the person y'all knew me as. This is the person that I'm striving to be. And you start to attract a new circle, period, through business, through friends, new people start to be attracted to your new lifestyle.
Were you dating during that process, or did you take some time off of dating?
So I had situationships, so I'm not going to sit here and act like it's just this snap decision that happens when you grow and you know all of your ways are just eliminated. Right? Like you're still a human being. Nothing intrigued me as it relates to my new level of growth. Her and I, literally third week, I want to live with you, right? I want to be with you. Like the conversation is different. Like, baby, I want to create a business with you. I want to create a legacy with you. You know, like I want to be a father to your kids. Like that's the conversation, right? It's different than a conversation where it's just a regular dating conversation. Hey, where are we going to next week? Do you know the next 2 weeks we're going to go to movies next week?
At your transition, at what point did you and Cola meet during that process?
Cola and I met at a time where I basically came out of a midlife crisis. So I have very high expectations for my pursuit in business, my life. Like I wanted to be married at this time. I wanted to have, kids. I don't have any biological kids. So I was looking at my life, evaluating my life, second guessing myself.
How old are you?
I am 36.
You brought up an interesting point. As a man, do men feel that same sort of pressure and clock? Because I do typically hear that from women where it's like, I'm 30, I'm not married yet, I don't have kids yet. And there's this sort of like, frantic nature that happens once you hit 30. But as a man, did you feel that same sort of, energy where it's like, oh my God, time's ticking by?
Yes. When you conscious and you know that you're going to be dating a woman that's in their 33 and up, I wanted somebody close to my age range, mentally, consciously, age-wise, experience. Typically, if you're dating a woman during that age, their clock is ticking as well. And if they already have kids, then they may not want more. So you're dealing with all of those things, and you energy-wise too as a man. Like we want energy to be able to be out there and do those things as a father with the kids. So my whole entire life was wrapped around this time frame that I had for myself. There was a lot of things that was going on during that time, and I was literally just coming out when I spoke to Cola the first time on the phone. And the thing that I love what we did most is we went directly beneath the surface. Like what normal people will learn on their like 7th date, 10th date, second year, we learned on like our 3rd day.
There's no sense in, what's your favorite color and what do you like to eat? Because that's not what's going to maintain a successful relationship. So like, let's jump to the real stuff. So Cola, what were your initial feelings when you guys met? Because he said, he was sort of coming out of sort of a dark time, but also very conscious of who he was and what he wanted at that point in life. So where were you at that point?
When I met Brian, I was ready, but I took the settling route, like a lot of us do. So I chose to settle for decent guys that were, I guess, good men, but I didn't feel the connection or the same connection like me and Brian have, like a soulmate type connection with. So I just kind of settled for the minimum. We're both very, very honest from day one. We talked about everything beneath the surface. I made sure he knew I am not in this thing. I'm not going for a situationship. That was our first conversation.
That was our first situationship conversation.
Actually, I knew I felt something for Brian. Before we even talked on the phone, I just knew, I'm like, I don't know what this is that I feel for him, but I feel something. And I'm not a woman that catch feelings easy. So I just knew he had to be that, had some kind of it factor. And he actually did. And because we were so honest and accepting of each other's honesty, it blew my mind. And that's kind of how we were able to move so fast.
How fast did it move? Like, did you guys start, like, make it exclusive shortly after that?
Yeah, yes, like
So like November 4th, we were on the phone. About November 11th, we said, I love you. November 15th or 13th, I'm in love with you. November 15th, let's make this a committed relationship. November 22nd, the first time we actually have a physical date.
And yeah,
November
we hadn't even met
29th.
each other face to face prior to December.
Wow.
We didn't mention the fact that Cola lived in a different state. So she lived in South Carolina. I lived in Georgia. The weekend after our first date, we sat down and we did goals as a family. Mm-hmm. And those goals consisted of us creating a business together, her actually moving towards her passion, me moving towards my passion, and doing like our individual businesses based off of our passion, moving in together, getting our own home, and then planning for, in addition to the family, our spiritual union. So we wanted to do like almost like a spiritual wedding before our actual wedding, which coming in November. That'll be our 1 year anniversary, November 15th. Fast forward, we're here. We're in the same home. She's created her own business for her passion. I created my own business for my passion. We created our own business called Beneath the Surface, and we share a home.
So how has that been? I mean, this has all moved really quick, and you guys now live together. But Cola, you have 2 children, right? So how has that transition been, not only introducing somebody new, but making it a family so quickly, and like how have they taken to Kofi?
I have super loving kids, and I think we've all grown. Me and my kids are so close that they trust my judgment, and I'm not going to introduce them to anybody unless it's real. But before they met him, me and them had the conversation on how our relationship was going. And we spent so much time together, so they were able to kind of get to know him really fast. And for us, COVID was a good thing because when COVID happened, everybody was home and working from home. Brian pretty much moved in with me and worked from home. So with the kids, they took to him really fast because he pretty much just moved in. So he became the homeschool teacher. He became the teacher, but everybody has bonded so well, and I'm so glad that I have really good kids and really loving kids, so they took to it so well.
How have you guys sort of worked through with other parents involved and a move involved and all of that?
I call it the Bermuda Triangle. So you got the parent, you got the mother, the kids, and then the baby father, right? Like, so if that triangle is messed up, I'm going to end up sinking. So I needed that triangle to be legit, whether the father wasn't there, just was never there, whether they were there and they had a healthy relationship. Those things, either or, needed to happen for me to be able to succeed as a new father figure in the home.
Is there a relationship?
My kid's dad is in Afghanistan. He works as a contractor, so he's kind of like gone all the time. So it makes it so much easier.
I wasn't going to tell her this, but since she did.
We've kind of just meshed so well, but COVID has forced us to spend so much time together. Prior to me moving in with him, we were living in my house, but we was forced to kind of be together for a couple of months. So we learned each other's quirks. It wasn't always easy. We had our moments, a lot of moments, but we were able to really learn each other, especially learn what gets on each other's nerves when you have to spend 24 hours with each other every day, all day.
Now, how do you deal with those conflicts so early on, with somebody that because you know their heart, but you don't necessarily yet know, all of their habits, all of their quirks, all of those little things that just sort of come with time?
I think for us, because we already agreed that we would not make the small things really, really big issues. More so if it's really dear to him, and if it means a lot, then that's a different conversation. But if it really doesn't mean that much to either one of us, we would just kind of learn to let it go. But we had to learn. We had our moments, but we started having our moments way before moving in together and kind of having to learn each other triggers. It was really hard. I don't even know if it was that we were moving so fast that made it hard. I think it was more so that we were so deep and we were so connected and intertwined with each other. It heightened everything. And we still learning. We still learning. But I think we were both so committed to learning those things. And that's how we kind of managed to still be here.
If you truly believe in the twin flame connection, you truly believe that you can meet your soulmate. The soul feel like you've known the person for years and light years, right? So the soul feel like you've known the person forever. And now you've just reconnected in this human body. So because the connection deep beneath the surface is so strong, it's strong enough to now be able to deal with what's above the surface. The personalities, the experiences, the traumas, the fears, etc. The connection that we had through the soul was that deep for us. What about November 29th? We put all our goals together. So when you look at those goals, Cola lived in a different state. So that means relocation to a whole new state. You know, so when you got all of these big goals that we share together, weighing on our back at stake, every conflict is hiding because of that. So it's not like if we were together, we both were in Atlanta, you know, a little disagreement here, you know, a fear here wouldn't matter as much because it's not so much at stake at every disagreement, right? So because a disagreement creates fear, fear creates action, fear, you know, all of those things happening. Like, are we ready? Are we moving too fast? Should we do this? Should we, you know, like those things start coming up. So with that being said, I think when you find that soulmate and that connection is strong and mentally you're mature and you're conscious about going into healthy relationships, you be proactive. So we have a lot of proactive conversation about what's your triggers? You know, like, what do you love? What do I love? What's it? And we do this scale thing. So when we have a disagreement, if it's a 10 for her, or if it's an importance thing, if it's a 10 for her and it's a 5 for me, we don't need to argue about it. I immediately compromise and go with the 10 and vice versa.
I love that.
But the struggle is when it's important for both of us, right? Like, how do we handle that in the moment? And sometimes we need 2-3 days to like, okay, you know what? Growth needed to happen. Right. That's what happens. Growth happens when it's both important. So the continuous growth, the agreements that we set, the conversations, the proactive conversations that we have, and then where we act consciously in life. Like, we want a legacy. We want our kids to succeed. We want a healthy relationship. So when you want those things, you work towards it like anything else that you want.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about relationships. Like, I think people tend to think they just happen and it's serendipitous and it's kismet and it just happens. But we don't tend to plan for them in the way that we plan for other things, you know? So it's like, oh, you know, I want to lose 10 pounds. And that, like, oh, I have to eat like this. I have to get in the gym like this. Like, we understand the work that goes into it to achieve that result. Same thing. It's like, if I want to get a new job, I understand I might have to have this degree. I might have to network with these people. But when it comes to relationships, we're like, it's just going to happen and it's just going to be great. This all happened really fast. And I am in a relationship that also happened really fast. I mean, I met my boyfriend right before I went on a trip overseas for almost 3 months. We talked pretty much the whole time I was gone. And then right when I got back, we were already together before I even returned. And then we moved in together a couple weeks later. And so, you know, there were definitely a couple friends of mine who were like, wait, who is this guy? Is this somebody you met overseas? Like, it was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of like, so what do you really know about him? And on top of that, he has kids. And I'd never dated a man with kids before. And so there was a lot of, I think, skepticism from my friends, but they also know me well enough to know I'm going to do what I'm going to do. But just because of just the speed of everything and just where I was at in life at the time, I think it shocked a lot of people. They didn't necessarily try to dissuade me. They were just like, you know, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Did you guys get any of that sort of feedback from friends or family?
Salute to you and yours.
3 years strong now.
3 years strong. Salute to y'all. It's awesome hearing an inspiring story because sometimes we feel alone. You know, like, we feel alone when it comes to like our type of speed and our connection and our soulmate connection. So salute to you and yours.
Yes, I think I got it maybe the most because as a woman with kids, everybody's like, oh, you just met him, you're gonna bring him around your kids. And not to mention I just purchased the home last year. So I had only been in my home for 1 year. Or just now, this year made 1 year. And I think selling my home and everybody's like, oh goodness, you're selling your home to move back to Georgia because I actually just left Georgia last year.
Wow.
So I just moved out of Georgia last year and then meet Brian in November. And now fast forward, I'm back. They still supported it, but everybody kind of side-eyed me like, are you really sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure.
As a real friend should.
Yes. So yes, we get the same thing.
Did it scare you at all, Kofi, coming into a situation with a woman with children? Only because there is a very different dynamic, right? Like if you're a single guy, you live a very different lifestyle than being a father.
Right.
Did that part scare you at all?
So maybe 2 years even prior to meeting Cola, I said I will date a woman with one kid. Of course, I don't have any kids. So my first part of my journey was like, I want to date a woman with no kids. That's just the ideal situation. As growth happens and you get into your 30s, like, you know what? I date a woman with a kid. Then it went to, I do 2 kids. And no matter what, long as the situation is perfect, meaning that the woman is a strong mother. She shares my parental characteristics, qualities. The kids are respectful, bright. It makes it easier knowing that we are soulmates. So I can just dive right in, right? Like, I love you. I want this to happen. I want this to be forever. You've what I've been waiting for. So whatever we got to work on above the surface, let's start. But I want in with the kids.
I think I was more hesitant because he didn't have any, which means he want a kid.
Right. So do you want more kids, Cola?
Now I would say yes, but prior to him, no, I did not. The kid thing was such a big deal in the beginning because I just knew I didn't want any more kids, or I really didn't want to date another man that did not have experience with kids or even experience with a long-term relationship. Those were like some of the top of my things that I just really did not want. So Brian had been in a relationship in 10 years. I'm like, oh goodness. So that means I got to train him up. And that my brain was there. And I just really didn't, but I was so open to seeing. I'm so glad he did his work during his 10 years. So I did not have to train him up at all. And that being that he lived in a different state, that was also like, oh, I just moved from Georgia. I don't want to have to relocate. So those things that was initially were like deal breakers, I was flexible enough to kind of just throw it away and throw it away and now end up coming back and be open to change. Because it's definitely been a change. But I knew that was kind of agreement we made right in the first couple of weeks that I knew he wanted kids. And if I was going to be with him, eventually I was going to have to give in or keep going.
So what advice, I guess, would you give to couples that, desire or want this sort of relationship? Because it is certainly hard to find somebody that you can connect with on this level and be aligned in your goals.
I think the biggest thing is just kind of to work on you and be ready. And for us, I think we were both open and ready for everything that came with each other.
In addition to that, I would say be open for growth for yourself. Be knowledgeable of the fact that you're entering a situation where you want your partner to feel secure, to feel loved, and to feel healthy. And being proactive and not reactive to a situation. Have meetings, have conversations. And then you got to be disciplined to do that and to make those changes and to look at your bad habits, look at your traits, look at your toxic traits, identify traumas, look at your bad habits. Those things is going to make you a more peaceful, happier person, a more healthier person holistically. You begin to attract that. Right. And then you not only attract it, when you become it, you expect it.
Yep.
That's when you holistically there. Right. I expect to meet a Cola.
That's really great advice. What both of you said about being open and also just being very reflective of who you are and what you want. And then in turn, expecting that from another person once you become it. So what is next for you guys?
We are launching soon our line called Beneath the Surface. So we have a lot of different products promoting love, promoting conscious love, promoting spiritual love. And we're working on our family business as well. So we got this whole 2-year vision that we're working on. And then individually, she has her new realtor and interior home design business called House of Sparks that she's developing. And I have Empower Circle, which is a leadership and business consultant coaching firm.
Well, I really appreciate both of you coming on today and sharing your story. I love that you guys went for it full force and you really spend the time and make a commitment to learn and grow from each other each day. Where, again, can people reach you?
At Cola and Kofi, Instagram and Facebook. KOLA and KOFI.
And you guys, please reach out to me at Tanisha Wood on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and let me know what you think of today's show. And until next time, wish me love. Hello again, my lovely listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of DRL. If you like the show, be sure to go on iTunes and leave a rating and also write a review. And don't forget to share with your friends and tell them all about DRL. Thank you so much for supporting.